The Galactic Council's great chamber fell silent as Ambassador Thelok Friend of Earth gathered his datapad and stood. 6 decades of humanity's petitions, appeals, and negotiations had culminated in this moment. His weathered face, lined with scars from the Proxima conflict, betrayed nothing as he regarded the titanic amphitheater housing representatives from 300 species. The delegation from Sol formally withdraws its application for full council membership. Thelok announced, his voice eerily calm. Furthermore, under Protocol 7 Epsilon of the Mutual Defense Charter, humanity hereby provides notice of our intent to withdraw from all existing treaties with the Galactic Cooperative within Standard Cycle. High Arbiter Chalcidia's crystalline appendages trembled, sending prismatic light dancing across the chamber walls. Ambassador Vren, surely you cannot mean. We mean precisely what we say, Arbiter. Thelok cut in. For 60 years we've been denied equal standing while fulfilling every requirement. We've shed blood defending council worlds from the Voidborn. We've shared technologies that revolutionized quantum communications, yet each application has been denied on increasingly transparent pretexts. Grand Admiral Oxivius of the Forellian Empire leaned forward, mandibles clicking in agitation. The humans cannot simply walk away. Their shipyards at Ta City provide 30% of our military vessels. Indeed, Thelok replied with a thin smile. Along with 40% of your antimatter fuel, 60% of your medical nanites, and the entirety of your quantum shield technology. All agreements to be terminated within 1 standard cycle as per subsection 12. Councillor Drelzot of the Meridian Collective rose on his 4 powerful limbs, voice booming. This is nothing short of extortion. The council cannot be blackmailed. Thelok's laugh lacked warmth. Blackmail? No, Councillor. We're simply leaving. You've made abundantly clear the humans aren't welcome as equals. His eyes swept the chamber. We took your scraps of territory in the galactic rim. We developed those worthless systems into thriving colonies while you dismissed us as primitives. We've outgrown you. The Psylectrix Alliance will not stand for this, hissed Representative Matorix through translators. You don't have to stand for anything, Thelok replied, gathering his materials. The decision is made. We'll honor our treaties for exactly 1 cycle, then humanity walks its own path. As murmurs of panic rippled through the chamber, Thelok activated his comm. Vren to Terran Fleet. Begin Operation Exodus. Authentication code. Phoenix Rising. Across the galaxy, human vessels began systematically withdrawing from joint operations. Military ships, science expeditions, trade convoys, all simultaneously changed course, returning to human space. Arbiter Chalcidia's voice cut through the chaos. Ambassador, the trans-dimensional rifts in the Scorpius sector, the Voidborn incursions, without human shield technology, will be your problem alone, Thelok finished. As you've repeatedly informed us, the Council has managed for millennia before encountering humanity. I'm sure you'll manage again. As Thelok exited the chamber, Captain Aerith Talmik of his security detail fell into step beside him. That went about as expected, sir. Yes. Thelok's shoulders sagged slightly once they were alone. The real question is what happens tomorrow when they realize we weren't bluffing. And the Voidborn, sir, without our containment fields. Thelok's expression hardened. The Council made their choice, Captain. Now they'll live with the consequences. 3 weeks after humanity's declaration, the first cracks in the Galactic Council's facade began to show. On Prometheum Prime, homeworld of the Caldari Ascendancy, High Executor Nix Valen stared with mounting horror at the holographic displays before him. How many shipments have failed to arrive? He demanded. His aide, Technician Eslix, trembled visibly. All of them, Executor. Human transports carrying medicinal compounds have ceased operations across all 17 sectors. But the cascading fever outbreak on our colony worlds will continue to spread, Executor. Our synthesizers cannot replicate the human formula. Similar scenes played out across Council space. The Draconis combined discovered that their vaunted neural networks, the backbone of their civilization, were slowly failing without specialized human maintenance crews. Tachyon communication relays began experiencing cascading failures, isolating entire star systems. In a private chamber deep within the council tower, an emergency session had been convened. "We must negotiate with the humans immediately," insisted Trade Director Perxillion, her feathered crest flattened in distress. "The economic impacts alone will destabilize half the council worlds within months." Admiral Oxivius slammed his exoskeleton-enhanced limb against the table. "The humans will relent once they feel similar pressures. Their economies must be equally affected by this separation." Director of Intelligence Vecral Torn, a shadowy figure representing the Umbral Collective, finally spoke. "You misunderstand the human position, Admiral. They have been preparing for this contingency for decades." Holographic projections flickered to life around the chamber, showing bustling human worlds throughout their territory. While publicly petitioning for membership, they've quietly built redundant systems, stockpiled resources, and established internal supply chains that don't depend on council infrastructure. Vecral continued. "Unlike our specialized civilizations, humans maintain capabilities across multiple industries. They're adaptable and far more self-sufficient than we anticipated." "Impossible," whispered Arbiter Chalcidia. "No single species cold." "They'd had 60 years to prepare," interrupted Vecral, "and we provided the motivation by repeatedly denying them equal status." A priority communication suddenly flashed on the central display. Grand Marshal Zentrix of the Ferellian Defense Force appeared, his typically immaculate armor scorched and damaged. "The Voidborn have breached containment at Scorpius Point Delta. 3 systems have already fallen, and our shield technologies cannot seal the rifts without human quantum harmonizers." The recording ended abruptly in a burst of static. "The humans knew," Arbiter Chalcidia whispered. "They knew the Voidborn would break through without their technology." "No," corrected Vecral. "We knew. Our scientists predicted this outcome years ago, but the Council suppressed those reports to maintain leverage over humanity." Across the galactic arm, Commander Larissa Neveri of the Terran Defense Fleet watched silently as her battle group patrolled the newly established border of human space. A priority message from Fleet Admiral Kairos Talon appeared on her command screen. "Neveri, intelligence reports massive Voidborn breaches in Council space. Prepare your fleet to receive refugees, but maintain quarantine protocols. The Council made their choice, and if they request military assistance, Admiral." Admiral Talon's expression remained impassive. "Direct all requests to diplomatic channels. Let them follow proper protocols, just as they always insisted we do." The commander nodded grimly. "Understood, sir." Neveri out. As she turned back to the viewport, distant flashes of light illuminated the darkness. Weapons fire from battles in neighboring systems. The Council was beginning to understand what they had lost. 57 days into humanity's withdrawal, the Galactic Council dispatched its most prestigious diplomatic vessel, the Eternal Concord, toward human space. Led by Supreme Arbiter Chalcidia herself, the delegation included the highest-ranking representatives from each major council power. They were made to wait. For 3 full days, the Concord hovered at the edge of human territory, its communication requests acknowledged but unanswered. When clearance finally came, they were permitted to dock at Outpost Thermopylae. Not Earth, not Mars, not even one of humanity's major colonies, but a military installation at the farthest reach of human space. The message was clear. The Council no longer dictated terms. Within Thermopylae's austere conference chamber, Fleet Admiral Kairos Talon and Director of Interstellar Relations Ilara Vex represented humanity. No ceremonial guards, no diplomatic entourage. Just 2 humans facing the most powerful beings in the galaxy. "We appreciate your journey to Thermopylae." Admiral Talon began without preamble. "However, I should be clear that humanity's decision is final." Arbiter Chalcidia's crystalline form shimmered with emotion. "Admiral, Surely you see the devastation unfolding. The Voidborn have consumed 7 systems already. The death toll exceeds 4 billion sentients. A tragedy, Director Vex acknowledged, her tone measured. One that your own intelligence services predicted but chose to ignore when it served your political agenda. Trade Director Praxilian stepped forward. We are prepared to offer humanity immediate full council membership, unrestricted access to all restricted technologies, and exclusive rights to develop 30 new star systems. Generous, Admiral Talon noted dryly. Particularly since we already have what we want. Independence. Across the table, military leader Zentrix of the Ferellian Defense Force could no longer contain himself. While we debate, my homeworld burns. The Voidborn tear through our strongest defenses like tissue. Without human quantum shield technology, we cannot close the rifts. A heavy silence followed his outburst. That technology was offered to the Council 15 years ago. Ilara Vex finally said. Your own science directorate blocked its implementation, citing concerns about allowing humans too much influence over critical defense systems. We have the transcripts if you'd care to review them. The past cannot be changed, Calcidia implored. But surely humans cannot sit idle while trillions face extinction. Admiral Talon exchanged a glance with Director Vex before responding. We have no intention of allowing the Voidborn to consume the galaxy. That would eventually threaten humanity as well. Hope flickered across the alien delegate's features. However, Talon continued, any assistance will be provided on humanity's terms. Not as council members, not as subordinates, but as an independent power acting in its own interests. He activated a holoprojector, displaying a complex document. These are our conditions, non-negotiable. The alien representatives leaned forward, scanning the terms with growing disbelief. This demands the complete reorganization of the council governance structure, Calcidia whispered. Yes, confirmed Ilara Vex, along with full disclosure of all suppressed technologies, equal resource distribution among all sentient species, and the immediate dismantling of the case systems on 17 council worlds. This is revolution, stammered Representative Matorix. This is evolution, corrected Admiral Talon. The old hierarchy failed. Accept our terms, and humanity will help defend against the Voidborn. Refuse, and we'll fortify our borders and watch as the lesson unfolds. As the council delegates huddled in frantic discussion, a junior officer entered the chamber and whispered urgently to Admiral Talon. It appears your decision may need to come quickly, Talon announced. We've just detected a Voidborn advance fleet approaching Ferellian Prime. Estimated arrival: 6 hours. Simulation complete. Probability of council acceptance: 89.7%. The artificial intelligence known as ATHENA projected its analysis across the tactical display aboard the human dreadnought Indomitable. Fleet Admiral Talon reviewed the data with practiced efficiency. 3 months had passed since the council delegation's desperate visit to Thermopylae, and humanity's terms had indeed been accepted, under duress, with resentment, but accepted nonetheless. Admiral, Lieutenant Commander Orion Blackwood reported, the retrofitted council vessels are in position. All defensive grid stations report ready status. Talon nodded. And the quantum harmonic resonators? Synchronized across all 9 entry points, sir. If the calculations are correct, this should collapse the largest rifts and force the Voidborn back into their dimension. Around them, the largest combined fleet in galactic history had assembled. Human warships formed the core, their distinctive angular designs contrasting with the organic curves of council vessels. The battle group protected a constellation of massive platforms. Humanity's quantum harmonic resonators, finally deployed at full scale. Status update from Ground Command, announced Communications Officer Lyra Vex. Council evacuation of threatened systems is 82% complete. Estimated remaining civilian population, 1.3 billion. Admiral Talon's expression darkened. Not enough time to save everyone. No, sir, Lyra agreed quietly, but considerably better than total loss. On the primary view screen, the rift pulsed with unnatural energies, a wound in real space nearly a light hour across. Beyond it, the shadowy forms of the Voidborn swarmed like insects, preparing for their next assault. Incoming transmission from the Council flagship Eternal Judgment, Lyra reported. Supreme Commander Zentrix's battle-scarred visage appeared on screen. Once arrogant, the Ferellian's demeanor had transformed through months of devastating losses. Admiral Talon, he greeted, mandibles clicking softly. My tacticians report the Voidborn are massing for a major push, nearly triple the force of previous incursions. As expected, Talon replied. They sense our intentions. My warriors stand ready to fulfill their role. Zentrix continued, a new respect evident in his tone. Though I confess, many still doubt your strategy will succeed. Talon allowed himself a tight smile. Noted, Commander. Have your vessels maintain position. When the resonators activate, the dimensional backlash will be significant. After the transmission ended, Commander Blackwood approached quietly. Sir, there's something you should see. He gestured toward a secondary display, showing a live feed from the Council chamber on Galactic Central. The new governing conclave, established under humanity's terms, was in session, voting on the final measures of what many species now called the human reforms. Fourth measure passes with 76% approval, announced Arbiter Calcidia, her crystalline form noticeably dimmed from stress. All intelligence archives regarding suppressed technologies will be made public. Restriction classifications are hereby abolished. A ripple of discomfort passed through the assembled delegates, but none voiced opposition. The once mighty council had been humbled. 60 years of dismissing us as violent primitives, Blackwood observed quietly. Now they implement our governance model overnight. Fear is a powerful motivator, Admiral Talon replied, but it makes for unstable foundations. At that moment, Athena's avatar materialized. Admiral, dimensional fluctuations increasing. Voidborn fleet beginning transit. Estimated arrival, 3 minutes. Talon straightened. All vessels, battle formations, resonator teams, begin power-up sequence. Across the fleet, human and alien crews moved with practiced precision, united now not by politics or treaties, but by survival. One final communication, Admiral, Lyra reported, from Director Vex on Earth. Ilara Vex's face appeared, resolute yet concerned. Kairos, the Council has ratified the final accord. If you succeed today, humanity's position is secure. If not, then none of it matters anyway. Talon finished. We'll speak again when this is over, Ilara. As the transmission ended, the rift before them flared with blinding intensity. They're coming, Blackwood whispered. Admiral Talon's voice remained steady as he gave the order. All ships, weapons free. Resonators to full power on my mark. Let's show the galaxy what happens when humanity stops asking permission. The aftermath of what became known as the Battle of Scorpius Rift stretched across 3 star systems. Debris fields of both Council and human vessels drifted silently, testament to the ferocity of the Voidborn assault and the desperate defense mounted against them. Yet they had won. Barely. The quantum harmonic resonators had performed beyond expectations, collapsing 6 of the 9 major rifts and destabilizing the remainder. For the first time in a year, the Voidborn advance had been halted. But the cost had been staggering. Dr. Thalia Novas moved through the crowded medical bay of Station Prometheus, the largest human medical facility in the sector. Wounded from a dozen species filled every available space. Humans working alongside the very council races that had denigrated them for generations. Doctor, call the voice, and Thalia turned to find lorekeeper Zithvala of the Caldari observing her work. The ancient historian had been documenting the conflict since its beginning. Lorekeeper, Thalia acknowledged, continuing to check diagnostic readings. I'm rather busy at the moment. I understand. The Caldari responded, his translucent membranes flickering with bioluminescent patterns. but there is something troubling me that I must ask. Something about humanity." Philia sighed. "If this is about our primitive aggression again." "No," Zithvala interrupted. "It is about foresight. The resonator technology, your independent supply chains, your tactical deployments, all were prepared years in advance, as if humanity knew this confrontation was inevitable." Philia's hand stilled momentarily over her patient. "Our archives show that humans petitioned specifically for access to Scorpius Sector for 40 years before withdrawing from the Council." The lorekeeper continued. "Your scientists repeatedly warned about dimensional instability in that region, warnings the Council ignored." "What's your point?" Philia asked carefully. "You knew," Zithvala stated plainly. "Somehow, humanity knew what would emerge from those rifts before they fully formed, before any other species detected the threat." Before Philia could respond, an emergency alert sounded, and she rushed toward a critical patient. The lorekeeper followed. "I have studied thousands of species across my lifetime," Zithvala pressed. "None have shown humanity's particular pattern of preparedness. It defies probability." "Perhaps we're simply more cautious than you gave us credit for," Philia replied, administering emergency treatment to a wounded Ferellian officer. "Or perhaps," the lorekeeper suggested quietly, "humans have encountered the Voidborn before." Philia's eyes snapped up, meeting the alien's gaze with sudden intensity. Their exchange was interrupted as Admiral Talon entered the medical bay, accompanied by the newly appointed Council High Representative Chalcidia. The room quieted instantly. "Dr. Novus," Talon greeted. "How fare our wounded?" "We're stabilizing the critical cases," Philia reported. "The Caldari regenerative enzyme you authorized for use has improved recovery rates by 30%. Chalcidia's crystalline form shimmered. "Technology my people restricted for centuries, yet freely shared by humans in our hour of need. The irony is not lost on me." Talon merely nodded. "High Representative, our science teams have completed preliminary analysis of the remaining rifts. I believe it's time for the classified briefing we discussed." As they departed, lorekeeper Zithvala moved closer to Philia. "The Admiral carries himself like one who has fought this enemy before," he observed softly. "That's absurd," Philia replied. "The rifts only appeared 3 years ago." "In this sector," the lorekeeper corrected. "But your Earth records show an unusual gap approximately 4 centuries ago, a period your historians call the Dark Decades. Very little information survives from that time." Philia focused intently on her medical instruments, saying nothing. "Most curious," Zithvala continued, "is that immediately following this period, humanity's technological advancement accelerated dramatically, as if driven by some existential urgency. In the distance, through the medical bay's viewport, the collapsed rift flickered occasionally with residual energy, dimensional echoes of the beings that had nearly consumed them all. Some questions, lorekeeper," Philia finally said, "are better left unasked, particularly when the answers might shatter the foundations of galactic history as you understand it." She turned back to her patient, ending the conversation, but Zithvala noted how her hands trembled slightly, the first crack in humanity's carefully maintained facade. The classified briefing chamber aboard the human command vessel Prometheus fell silent as Admiral Talon concluded his presentation. 7 representatives from the former Council powers sat immobile, processing the information they had just received. 412 Earth years ago, Talon repeated, humanity faced its first encounter with the entities we now call the Voidborn. Not through rifts in distant space, but on Earth itself. On the holographic display, historical images from old Earth depicted devastated cities, strange atmospheric phenomena, and primitive defenses against shadowy forms. "The Dark Decades," High Representative Chalcidia whispered. "This is why your historical records are so sparse from that period." "Yes," confirmed Director Ilara Vex, who had joined them from Earth. Nearly 40% of human population was lost before we discovered the quantum resonance effect that could close the rifts. Supreme Commander Zentrix rose from his seat, mandibles clicking in agitation. You kept this secret for 4 centuries, while other worlds remained vulnerable. We attempted to warn you. Talon countered evenly. Every human petition for council membership included classified appendices regarding dimensional stability. Every one was dismissed without review. Lorekeeper Zith Vala's bioluminescence pulsed with sudden understanding. The quarantine protocols. When humanity first achieved interstellar flight, you established unusually strict quarantine measures for Earth, not to protect yourselves from alien contamination, but to protect the galaxy from what we contained beneath our world. Ilara confirmed. The original rift was never fully closed, merely suppressed. Arbiter Chalcidia's crystalline structure trembled. By the cosmic founders, your homeworld sits atop a doorway to their dimension. The Voidborn remember Earth, Talon said gravely. The rifts in Scorpius sector were not random. They'd been searching for the way back to their first entry point. The chamber erupted in accusations and questions until Talon raised his hand for silence. We did what we had to do, he stated firmly. Humanity unified after the invasion, rebuilding our civilization with a single purpose, ensuring the Voidborn could never return. When we discovered interstellar travel, we hoped to find allies against the greater threat. Instead, we found the Council, powerful, divided, and dangerously complacent. Director Vex activated another holographic display, showing detailed scans of dimensional disturbances across the galaxy. The current rifts are merely the beginning. Our models predict 17 potential breach points within Council space over the next decade, which is why humanity withdrew, Chalcidia realized. Not as political leverage, but to focus on building defenses when the Council refused to listen. Partially, admitted Talon. Though I won't pretend the Council's condescension didn't make the decision easier. Commander Zentrix, visibly shaken, asked the question weighing on every mind. Can they be defeated permanently? For the first time, uncertainty crossed Talon's features, unknown. But our scientists have developed a theoretical approach that might seal all potential breach points simultaneously. At what cost? Lorekeeper Zith Vala asked quietly. Ilara Vex met his gaze directly. The complete redirection of the galaxy's primary quantum communication network. Every major system would need to be reconfigured as part of a vast harmonic web. That would disrupt every aspect of interstellar civilization, gasped Trade Director Perxilian. Commerce, governance, defense, all would be paralyzed during the transition. As we said, Admiral Talon replied calmly, the choice is humanity's terms or extinction. The Council's old order cannot stand against what's coming. As the alien representatives absorbed this revelation, Ilara Vex circulated data tablets containing detailed implementation plans. We've prepared for this moment for generations, she explained. Every human technological innovation, every diplomatic initiative, all designed to prepare galactic civilization for this transformation. And if we had continued to refuse? Chalcidia asked softly. Admiral Talon's expression hardened. Then humanity would have withdrawn completely behind our defensive perimeter and allowed natural selection to take its course. Those species who survived the Voidborn might eventually become worthy allies. The cold calculation in his voice sent shivers through the chamber. You would have watched worlds burn, accused Zentrix. We watched Earth burn 4 centuries ago, Talon replied without emotion. It taught us the price of unpreparedness. As the implications settled over the gathering, Lorekeeper Zith Vala's bioluminescence pulsed with sudden intensity. The human reforms, he whispered, open information sharing, technological cooperation, dissolution of hierarchical barriers. They were never about equality or justice. They were about survival, Ilara confirmed. A galactic civilization divided by artificial barriers cannot stand against dimensional invaders. We needed you unified, efficient, and fully mobilized. Chalcidia's crystalline form vibrated with emotion. All this time, we thought humans were simply another species seeking power. We never imagined that we were trying to save you from yourselves. Talon finished. Now you understand why we walked away. Sometimes the only way to make someone value you is to show them life without you. 5 years after the Battle of Scorpius Rift, the galactic landscape had transformed beyond recognition. Where once the Galactic Council Tower had dominated the cityscape of Centralia Prime, a new structure now rose. The Dimensional Defense Authority headquarters, its architecture a seamless blend of all major species design elements. Admiral Kairos Talon, now bearing the title of Defense Coordinator, stood at the observation deck alongside representatives from 17 former Council powers. The harmonic network is at 97% completion, he announced, indicating the holographic display showing thousands of quantum resonators positioned strategically throughout the galaxy. The final nodes will be activated within the month. And the dimensional feedback readings? Asked Chalcidia, who now served as liaison director. Stable, Talon confirmed. No new rifts have formed in 18 months, and the remaining breach points continue to narrow. The assembled delegates exchange relieved glances. After generations of competition and condescension, the former powers of the galaxy have been forced into genuine cooperation. The results spoke for themselves. Production reports from the joint shipyards at Tau Ceti announced Technarch Revex of the Draconis combine, displaying manufacturing statistics. Output has increased 300% under the unified protocols. Defensive capacity now exceeds pre-invasion levels across all sectors. Medical sciences report similar progress, added Dr. Thalia Novus, now heading the Xenobiological Exchange Initiative. Cross-species treatments have reduced pandemic vulnerability by 70%. The cascading fever that once threatened the Caldari has been eradicated entirely. As the briefing continued, Lorekeeper Zithvala observed the proceedings with historian's eyes. The change was remarkable, not just in policy or technology, but in the fundamental nature of interspecies relations. When the formal meeting concluded, he approached Admiral Talon privately. An impressive transformation, Admiral, the Lorekeeper noted. Though I cannot help but wonder, did humanity truly need to withdraw so dramatically? Could this cooperation not have been achieved through conventional diplomacy? Talon regarded the ancient historian thoughtfully. Would you have listened? Would any of the Council powers have dismantled their privileged positions voluntarily? Perhaps not, Zithvala admitted, though the cost has been substantial. Less than the alternative, Talon replied, gazing out at the bustling headquarters where dozens of species now worked together seamlessly. Director Ilara Vex joined them, carrying fresh data on the Dimensional Stabilization Project. The final resonator array is ready for activation, Kairos. Earth has transmitted the activation codes. The mention of humanity's homeworld hung meaningfully in the air. Since the revelation of Earth's unique connection to the Voidborn, the planet had taken on an almost mythical significance in galactic culture. There is something I've never asked, Zithvala said carefully. The original rift on Earth, is it truly contained? Talon and Vex exchanged a glance before the Admiral answered. Earth's resonator array is the most powerful in existence. It has held for 4 centuries. But, prompted the historian, sensing the unspoken qualification. But the Voidborn remember their first taste of our reality, Ilara explained quietly. They hunger specifically for Earth. Each new rift is an attempt to circumvent our defenses, to find another path to their original entry point. Which is why humanity pushed so hard for galactic unification, Zithvala realized. Your world remains the primary target. Always, confirmed Talon. The Dimensional Harmonics Network doesn't just protect the galaxy. It specifically shields Earth by distributing the dimensional pressure across thousands of synchronized nodes. As the three stood watching ships from 24 worlds navigating the busy space lanes outside, Ilara's communication device chimed. The holographic image of Fleet Commander Orion Blackwood appeared. Director, final preparations are complete. The activation sequence awaits your authorization. Thank you, Commander. We're on our way. As they walked toward the activation chamber, Lorekeeper Zithvala made one final observation. History will mark this as the moment when everything changed, when the species of the galaxy truly became unified. History is written by the survivors, Admiral Talon replied. And thanks to humanity walking away when we did, there will be survivors to write it. In the glittering activation chamber, representatives from every major world gathered as Director Vex initiated the final sequence. Across the galaxy, thousands of quantum resonators synchronized simultaneously, creating an invisible shield surrounding countless worlds. The dimensional feedback readings stabilized, then began to decline steadily. For the first time in 5 years, Admiral Talon smiled genuinely. Signal Earth. Tell them. It worked. As celebratory murmurs spread through the chamber, Supreme Commander Zentrix approached the human leaders, his once hostile demeanor replaced with hard-earned respect. It seems we owe humanity an apology spanning generations, he acknowledged, though your methods were unorthodox. Sometimes, Talon replied, the only way forward is to walk away first. Outside the massive viewports, the stars shone steadily in the void, secure, for now, from the darkness between dimensions. Humanity had withdrawn to force the galaxy to change, and in doing so, had finally found its rightful place among the stars.